Good.
Okay. Anyone else?
It was good.
I saw that for you, so I'm proud of that.
Thank you.
Saw your progress a little bit. I think you sized down. Sounds like you sized up there.
I switched from MNQ to NQ.
Ooh.
That's what I did. And we did one at a time.
Well, if you did one at a time, that's good. Don't get trigger happy with NQ, I would say, right? Just because the same way you earn it, you can also blow it.
Yep.
Let's see. What do we got? Let's do SVP. See what we got here. All right. I would say, do you guys think this was a short cover rally, or you guys think it was actual buying occurring here?
I think it was buying.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, tomorrow you'll be able to know, right? So if we're able to hold this and let's say they lose the value area high, then for sure we're gonna know that whether that was a buying or not, right? The spike didn't really come because it was part of the 2 o'clock, right? They broke high, but there was a lot of, I gotta say manipulation, but there's a lot of news driven movements today, right? So they took the opportunity, but there was some decent buying too in certain levels. I mean, it just, they seemed like they were fairly aggressive on some of the candles, and it's like buyers stepped away for a moment. So I wouldn't be shocked on ES. You guys know the CPOC is right here sitting, and if you guys just look at your profiles a little bit, right, zoom out, you're gonna see the importance of it, right? So if I just hide this for a moment, bigger picture, we're sitting right there, right? And you guys know a lot of bias when you're in a bracketed market. It's based off of the CPOC. So tomorrow, if we pop above and then we lose the CPOC, the idea is that you're going to most likely, you could do the FVP from here to the top, but most likely you're going to visit 4764 really, really fast. The same thing happened, people are shocked that we had this run. I was expecting this actually yesterday. That's why I swung the SPX calls, but I got destroyed. I pretty much took like a 90% loss on that call. It was up almost 100%, but I didn't want to take it because I really expected that to be yesterday. If this would have been yesterday, that SPX call would have been probably a couple of $1,000, but it didn't. So they did it on a Thursday, which is unusual. And I believe it's tomorrow OPEX, or I believe it should be tomorrow.
Yes.
So that's going to be unwinding. A lot of hedges are going to be coming off. So it'll be really, really interesting. And now all of a sudden, Bank of America is they're projecting, I believe, 4 cuts. And it's almost like they're making mandatory statements that they need the cuts, which tells me that there's a little bit of constraints on liquidity in their portfolios, right? So let's see what happens, right? I would watch for this break. If we clear 22, honestly, there's nothing really stopping them to fix this poor highs that we had. If you guys recall, this is the poor highs that we had from overnight. So this is the little OVN, that they left here. And this is your all-time high. Right. So if they crack 22, this little zone, it goes to 24. Excuse me. If they're able to crack this, this is going to happen quickly, guys. I would not initiate any longs in this area. Again, I gave you guys a warning when it happened here. I would give you the same warning again. I would not initiate any longs in this area right here. Does everybody hear that? I just don't want somebody to be like, hey, I was confused. They should not be interested. Your risk to reward is minimal here on the long side. I also gave you guys heads up today on NQ. If you guys watched the chat, I mentioned as you approach this level, it was December POC and the value area high that lined up perfectly. I mentioned, there's no interest on that as well. And then we dumped quite a bit. Like we had a decent drop right there from it. I mean, that's pretty good pullback, right? And then, of course, I don't know how, but there's a lot of buyers, and they just kind of did a V-shaped recovery. And if you guys I'm switching to NQ because it was really interesting day. Did anyone pay attention what type of day we had today?
10.
Let me
Open test drive?
Still typical.
That would be the auction type, right? Test drive that you mentioned. So let me just, there's one that I want to hide. I don't know, this purple line, where the hell is it? All right, sure. Okay, this is the one. Apologize. So look what happened here, but before we took off. Do you guys, and I asked you guys at the time when this happened, do you guys see what we are setting up for here? Just pay attention to the area that I circled here. Does it ring a bell?
The IB was narrow. It looks like it was setting up for a breakup.
Okay. What else is the definition of a neutral day?
You break the high and low of the IBH and L.
Is it this?
Unsure of what direction.
Yep.
Yeah. So when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, are we gonna have this, right?" Which kills the potential. Typically, when you have a range extension on the upper side and the bottom side, the odds of that being the high and the low for the day are really, really high. And I mean, now when you come back here, you see the high was set here, right? This was the high, and then this was the high on the, I'm sorry, the low on the bottom. All right, come on, mouse. Right, so now if you look at this, the odds would have been really, really low because you went above the IB and then look how quickly they came back inside. I would say that's pretty aggressive. Then you broke the IB to the lower side, right? You had an extension to the up, you had an extension down. And then I was like, okay, well, this 50% here should offer some resistance, right? And this level at 1737 was fairly important today. I don't know if you guys had it. And also 20. Did anyone have 20 level marked? Like 21 something on NQ? I deleted them all, but there was an NQ level that's fairly important at 20. It was a value area high. And I mean, I thought they were going to stall here. And then, I mean, of course, they just smacked it. And this is a fairly unusual day, in my opinion. And you can also have a normal trend day, but the extension has to be what on a trend day?
2 times the IB.
Oh, sorry.
2 times the IB.
It needs to be, it needs to be well over a 2x. So we should have seen well over 2x, and I don't think that's the case that we saw here, right? If you look at this, we are right under the 2x. So it tells me this is, there's a lot of, I would say, not a lot of confidence in terms of buying, right? Because if they wanted to run, they should have ran this, and this should have been a double distribution day where they consolidated here, reconsolidated, and then popped. And then when you look at the, just the candles, let's hide them here. What type of day do you have on NQ here? On profile? Is it skewed to either side?
Yeah, it's skewed at the bottom. With volume profile, it looks definitely as a double distribution.
Okay, so market profile, it looks.
But on a TPO, looks like a B, lowercase b. I
would say it's close to a D shape. You have access on the top, you have access on the bottom, and I mean, your POC is kind of dead on the middle right here, really, really close at 35. And what Bean is referencing here is when you go to electronic, turn this guy on. So you have double distribution right now. So now when somebody asks how will we know, you're going to know if it's a short cover rally as soon as they lose this volume node here. That's if they lose this volume node, because then the rules of what we talk about, right? I would probably look for a crack below this, which would be 93. If you crack 93, your odds of hitting this POC here, I would say are pretty high. Would I play a hero and try to squeeze in this, couple of 30 points below that? No, probably not. The way they've been doing these V-shaped recover rallies, I would not be. My mouse is so weird. I would not be looking for that 30 points to catch that, if that makes sense on NQ. But this is the level I would kind of wait to see if we crack inside the value area high. We'll be able to tell tomorrow based on the framing, right, and how we open. Are we going to open here? Are we going to open below? Where are we opening is going to be fairly important. We should not crack or open below. If we gap up, we should not lose the previous day high, which is, I believe, somewhere around here. Okay, so I would be a little bit bearish here. And this would be the target here on NQ. And then you see here on this profile, right? I mean, it looks like a double distribution at the top. If the POC is not at the top and you have this, is this bullish or bearish? What do you think?
Bearish.
Okay, anyone else? Why do you think it's bearish?
Because if it was, the POC should be at the top. If that's the point of control, it should be at the top and not towards the middle of the profile.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think it's indecisive.
Well, I would agree that it's not as bullish, right? They should have shifted this POC to the upper because you did not spend a lot of time and on the bottom or volume, but you spent a lot here and then you popped, right? So if they lose this node here, this is going to be automatic. I would say this happens rather quickly here.
I mean, right now it's very bullish. We're above the prior day high.
Oh no, right now it is. Right?
Outside of the trading area, yeah.
Right now it is, but they've been doing some magic overnight. Let's just say that. The same way they erased the whole loss overnight, I think we can also erase the whole gains overnight. Because this is pretty bizarre, right? I mean, you're talking 330 points in a day. Pretty bizarre. We were excited about this dump here, guys, and look at the reversal. And you guys see where they opened? You guys pay attention to that or no? See where we started the day, right? At 6 p.m. It was above the value area high, which is telling you what in terms of price. Is it accepted here or not?
Not
Rejected
accepted.
the value area.
Yeah, we rejected it. We're basically it was telling you, hey, we're not interested in this at all. We don't want to trade here. And then of course you see the gap up where it happened, right? Where we actually opened the global, the cash session is somewhere around here. So they're not really interested in lower prices, right? So I would not expect them to lose this easily tomorrow. If they lose the POC easily, then for sure we know this was a weak short cover rally, and then we would look to revisit this value area low to make sure, right, the bottom is being respected of it. But I honestly think they're, well, I think they just swept all-time highs here. I think it's at 165-ish. Well, they're right there now. Few points away. Okay, so back to ES. I think it's pretty straightforward day tomorrow. We just might have to wait for afternoon, honestly, to see some action. They might just kind of drag it all along tomorrow. And we're above the CPOC as it stands, above this node. I would make sure you guys have this POC marked here for tomorrow. I think he'll come into play. Do you guys know what this level also means here? Anyone has any levels, maybe a point below? What about December value area high? Is it not here?
I have that at 48.29.
48.29 December value area high?
Yes.
47.83.
Yeah, that's where I have
I
it.
thought it was
47.83.
47.83, yeah.
That's where I have it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I have 47.83. That's why I believe I said that, right? It's right here, point below. At 84. So yeah, this is your December value area high. So from bigger picture, right, since January is not done and now the values are overlapping, this is looking a lot like what we had before. We cannot lose this level. On a longer scale, we cannot lose this level, right? We came here and just remember, this is the shelf that caused this bounce. Right? It's a major shelf that we have here. So if they lose this 83 this time, I would take a bet that you're gonna do this. This is what you're watching now on a bigger scale, right? And you know, January is still being developed. I think we still have a couple of days there. The POC is somewhere around 89. Value area high is sitting at 817 right now. So obviously we have to get, what would you guys want to see from buyers? You know, we need net new buyers to come in. We need them to initiate, right, buying now. And if they don't initiate and show weakness, that's going to be, again, you're back into the bracket that we are in for a while now, right? You would be in this bracket from, what is this, December 13th all the way till now. So over a month in the bracket, and which doesn't mean we can't stay in there for longer. So maybe they trap people over 22 and then we lose that 22 and my alarm's going to go off that something's off. And just pay attention to what they did. You see that? You see here, a couple of traps, and then they peaked above, and then they went lower. They made higher lows here. So now if they can't make higher highs on this little triangle, if you want to call it, if they can't clear this here, that's a problem, because then I think this is the play, and then crack that, you're going here. Does that make sense? And doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's just a model that I'm looking to see if it happens. But this 83 is really, really important for long term, right? Can they close above it? Can they close, basically out of balance and go higher, shift the POC, shift the value areas higher? Right now, if I was to say, I don't see volume picking up in month of January yet. And maybe they're still on vacation, but look, volume's kind of picking up on selling. I don't see buying yet. Let's check daily. Here's your selling, which is valid, right? This is a validation of volume and price action. And then here, the only one that actually checks out somewhat is this one. But even that one, when you compare this one to this, it doesn't really check out, at least not for me. Okay.
The only thing that looks weird to me, Shorty, is like in the NASDAQ, we've got a negative cumulative.
I saw
delta,
that. Yeah, I saw it.
and I don't really think that's passive buying.
No, it's not. I don't think that's passive buying, because the way it was structured on NQ, it just looked awful. They're going to bounce here on NQ if anyone's playing. Let's see. Yeah, on NQ, I mean, they had a lot more volume, and they are so overextended on NQ right now. So basically, they're sitting at monthly first standard deviation on VWAP. They just tapped it perfectly. Okay, I can show it if you guys care to see. Look at this. This is your standard deviation VWAP for the month. They just came to it, and we have a completed auction here on the daily so far. And what he's talking about, look at the volume here and make sure that you pay attention to that delta, right? I would say it's still pretty bad here. Yeah, it does not look like it was buying beam, at least not to me. There's a lot of sellers with large lots in multiple places. I mean, somebody offloaded at 107, at 103, 101. I think he offloaded about 1,500 contracts in a hurry too. At 96, man, at 96, yeah, 600 contracts on one trade. I mean, this was brutal. 882 on NQ, 640 just today. I mean, it was, yeah, it was pretty aggressive, large lots on selling here. So okay, it seems like we just tapped that here. All right, I'll be live tomorrow. I'll trade, and the key is that we see the open tomorrow. So if you're not familiar, I'll draw it in the morning when we open, and I'll annotate the chart so you guys can even take screenshots and maybe put it somewhere if you take any notes, so you can save it. But I'll point out where we're opening and kind of annotate the chart so you guys can actually see what is happening here. If you're watching tonight, inventory is not long. The spike down that you had on NQ today, what do you guys think that could have been? This right here. What do you guys think happened right here, right before open today?
Accumulation and then taking some profit.
Yep. And where did we close? Where was our close on NQ? Yesterday, where was our close? Where was our... Anyone? No? Was this the close here? Being, did you not watch this?
Very high.
This was your settle price, let's say right here. So if your settle price was right here, and then let's go here for a moment. If this was where we settled, right? We closed right here. And then overnight, the inventory was long all the way up until here. They're not long. Why do you think they did this? Why do you think that this happened here? Being, I think you covered it in class. You answered it correctly. Say it again. Sorry, somebody had mic on. I could barely hear you though.
That was them offline.
If the inventory is not long and we want to go higher, what should I do?
Scare people out there on longs.
Yep.
Exactly. This was basically a scare tactic to get the weak hands, the weak bulls that were long overnight, get them out and then run. And that's exactly what they did, right? And then as soon as they, it's kind of easier, after the fact, right? But as soon as they reclaimed that IB, your lights should go off as in something is not right. If you have a range extension, right, up and then higher, probability that you're going to close around the 50% of that is very, very high. But then they started running and it's like, oh crap, this was just an inventory check right here that they rebalanced and now they're just going to pop higher. Okay. So at least that's how I interpret that. Does that make sense to everyone? If your settle price is, let's say 100 and all of your overnight trading happens above 100 and especially far away from it, basically overnight's very long and usually leads to imbalances. If they continue, it's just going to add some crazy momentum to it. But here I would say, your open was here, but you broke that low. So that caused concern. Was anyone like, oh shit, this is the dump? Most people probably were, including myself. Right?
So it was a test.
So it was a really, really good trap for the shorts, guys. This is one of the better ones they've done in a while, right? You broke the IB here, right? This is your IB break, and look at the hammer they printed, higher high, higher high, and then, look at a candle here that's giant red down, came back, cracked the IB with nice candle, volume checked out, And then, I mean, I don't see stopping volume. Look at the size of this candle and look at the volume. Your biggest volume came on this candle here at 345. So does that make sense? It was a really well executed trap. And I think a lot of people got trapped on the short side. Whoever is trading like the breakouts, they got a little bit of a whip. Okay, I am in Tesla. I don't know if you guys saw my stupid thing. Okay, I added one more line there. You don't belong there. So I added Tesla here, right? There was 2 reasons. Does anyone have an idea why?
It was about it went down to about that same level the prior day, and when you got in, it was basically at that level, like it was retesting that bottom. Plus, we have earnings coming up.
Yep. And let me show you something. Where's Apple? Apple, I would say, had a pretty good 2 days, right? You know, you're talking about 5% on Apple in 2 days, right? 3 days, sorry. When you look at NVIDIA, of course, we know this one's just a monster. AMD at all-time highs. Google, I think I saw it today, had a decent day. Amazon, also not bad, right? So you have a lot of these big boys that are running, but Tesla's been selling. And they did this not too long ago. Do you guys remember when Tesla was selling, right? Here, if you guys go back, look at the other Mag 7, right? Look what they did. Then they propelled Tesla, and then the rest of the market caught up. Now, if they take a breather on Google, Apple, NVIDIA, and AMD, what do you think they're going to run? Which one carries a lot of weight in S&P 500? Like, correct answer would be Tesla, right? So they have a high chance that this is going to be the late run to push the market where it needs to go. Okay, so and then if we are able to, if you just look at this volume profile, I don't want to delete this just because I like the. Why did I grab 240? Calls on Tesla.
Is it the POC?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean,
I think it's. Oh, sorry. I think it's the 618 as well. I'm not sure. I think I looked
from
at
the
that earlier.
sell-off.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, we can check. It would be very close. Yeah. It'd be very, very close. Yep. See if they shifted this POC down at all. No, they did not. So yeah, at least I know 234. If it comes 234, I'm gonna be out. Right. As soon as it comes here, I can trim some positions, right? But the idea is now I'm just gonna let's see. I don't think I have Tesla on this side. Okay, this is the level I wanted to wait for a bounce, but I was just eager to kind of get in. I was watching for 209.17 to get the position, but personally, I said I can afford a little bit of a drawdown on this play, so I'm down on it, but I'm just not, I guess, too worried about this one. So now we just got to crack. Once we lose 214, I personally would not be surprised if we hit 234 next week. That would be great for our options, just so you know. That would be really, really good. That would be a really nice move to what do we need in terms of percentages? You need 10%. That's if we can catch 2 of these days, that'd be it. So I'm long that. I haven't gotten anything else, but I'm definitely gonna check tomorrow as I can settle down from the kiddos tomorrow. I'm gonna have some help to look at some of the stuff that I need to purchase for upcoming. So Wolf, I think was a great entry. If anyone scooped this, Pfizer, I think should be okay. There's some news coming out. I believe today or yesterday. I think what's his name? Threat. Midnight posted something about some vaccine prices or whatnot. So I think that should work in their favor. What else do we have? Baba. Baba is at a really dangerous level here. They need to reclaim 70, I believe, 7209-ish, really, or this POC, I think it was somewhere around 72.5. And ideally, they want to reclaim this POC here. That's going to print.
Verizon still looks good.
Verizon, yeah, Verizon's solid, man. I think they're gonna be the T-Mobile for the next couple of years. If you guys remember, T-Mobile struggled for a while. They got a new crazy CEO. He was full of ideas. I mean, they're the ones that implemented a lot of stuff with your phone services and packages, right? And a lot of people followed. And I think Verizon is about to start making some crazy changes because they're losing a little bit of a battle to T-Mobile. So I wouldn't be shocked that they get into a pricing war, which would hurt both, but let's see who wins. I would expect this one start hurting dump, Verizon start taking market share, revenue goes up, margin goes down. But let's see what they do. Yeah, I like Verizon. AMD, no, Slabby is all about AMD. This one had a monster run. What else did we look? Apple, I would not touch this with 10-foot pole. They're gonna fill the gap tomorrow on Apple. Okay. All right. Any other questions on ES or NQ?
No, thank you.
All right, guys. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll hop on probably around 9:15, and then I'll kind of prep us for the rest of the day.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Shorty. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Shorty.